On this episode of the Podcast in the Rough, I'm going to take you on a journey into podcast transformation, unraveling adventure-themed storytelling secrets, and you don't want to miss it. Join me if you dare as we enter the podcast wilderness. This is the Podcast in the Rough. Tune in every Friday for new adventurous episodes. Greetings, brave podcasters, and welcome to another wild episode of the Podcast in the Rough. I'm your host, Zebulon Thomas, guiding you through the dense jungles of content creation and storytelling. Today, we're venturing into uncharted territory to unlock the secrets of podcasting success. Picture this, you're in the heart of the podcasting wilderness, surrounded by towering ideas and untamed creativity. But how do you navigate through this rugged terrain and emerge victorious? Fear not, my fellow podcast pioneers. It's time to master the art of content creation and storytelling. Our first tip for survival in the podcast jungle is to capture your audience's attention right from the beginning. Just like a fearless explorer entering a mysterious cave, your podcast intro needs to be captivating, leaving your listeners eager for the adventure that lies ahead. Let's talk about the heart of your podcast, the content. Much like navigating a vast desert, your podcast needs to be a clear structure. Map out your episodes, create a storyline that keeps your audience hooked, and don't forget the oasis of valuable information to quench their curiosity. But, my daring podcasters, storytelling isn't just about words. It's about the emotion. Inject passion into your narrative. Make your audience feel the heat of the adventure, and they'll keep coming back for more, like loyal companions on an epic journey. As we navigate this thrilling podcasting wilderness, remember to engage with your audience, respond to their signals, much like deciphering a hidden code in the jungle. Your listeners are your compass. Let them guide you to the treasures of success. Now that we're deep in the jungle, I want to give you some tips for content creation and storytelling. Number 1, craft a captivating introduction. Begin your podcast with a hook that grabs your listeners' attention. Whether it's a compelling story, a thought-provoking question, or an intriguing fact, make sure your introduction sets the stage for an engaging journey ahead. Number 2, create a clear structure. Just like an adventure needs a map, your podcast needs a clear structure. Outline your episode with a beginning, middle, and an end. Establish a storyline or a format that guides your listeners through the narrative, making it easy for them to follow and enjoy. Number 3, inject emotion into your narratives. Don't just tell a story. Make your audience feel it. Infuse emotion into your voice and narratives. Kind of like I'm doing right now. Sorry, I broke the third wall here. Let's go back to it. Whether it's excitement, empathy, or suspense, emotional connections enhance the impact of your storytelling and keep your listeners invested in the journey. Number 4, engage with your audience. Treat your audience as companions on your podcast adventure. Encourage interaction by asking questions, conducting polls, or inviting listener submissions. Respond to feedback and create a sense of community to foster a stronger connection with your audience. Number 5, provide value and takeaways. Ensure that each episode leaves your listeners with something valuable. It could be information, inspiration, or entertainment. Craft your content with focus on what your audience can gain or learn, turning each episode into a rewarding experience. Now, with those tips, I also want to give you some strategies to begin the process. Number 1, brainstorm ideas. Set aside dedicated time to brainstorm content ideas. Consider what topics align with your podcast theme and your audience's interest. Jot down potential stories, angles, or unique perspectives that can form the foundation of your episodes. Number 2, create an episode outline. Before diving into recording, create a detailed outline for each episode. Identify key points, arrange the flow of your narrative, and plan any special segments. This roadmap will serve as your guide during recording and editing, ensuring a smoother storytelling process. Number 3, practice effective scripting. Write scripts that strike a balance between structure and spontaneity. While having a script helps maintain coherence, allow room for natural conversation and improvisations. Practice reading your script out loud to ensure a conversational tone and smooth delivery. Number 4, utilize sound and music. Incorporate background music, sound effects, or strategic pauses to enhance your storytelling. Use these elements to emphasize key moments, create atmosphere, and maintain a dynamic listening experience. Experiment with different audio techniques to find what suits your podcast style. Number 5, Gather listeners' feedback. Encourage your audience to provide feedback on your episode using social media polls, surveys, or direct messages to gather insight into what resonates with your listeners. Constructive feedback can be invaluable in refining your content and storytelling techniques over time. And now, my fearless friends, we've reached the heart of our expedition. As you tread through untamed paths of podcasting, I invite you to join my Podcast Community Mastermind Group. Here you'll discover the secrets of podcasting from start to success. For a limited time only, I'm granting free access to this exclusive group. Actively engage in our group posts now through Christmas, and you'll receive free access to my premium content over at buymeacoffee.com/intherough. It's a treasure trove of knowledge waiting for the brave podcasters. So my fellow adventurers, head over to my Podcast Community Mastermind Group and let's conquer the podcasting wilderness together. Stay tuned for another wild episode filled with endless excitement in next week's episode of the Podcast in the Rough. Take care. This is the Podcast in the Rough.